Oh yeah, good morning and welcome along to a brand new week here on Ireland AM.
He's back, we're outside.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous, lads, it's so mild.
Warm.
You don't need the coat today so far, it is fabulous. We're here until 10 to help guide you through the Monday morning madness of getting back to school after the lovely holidays.
Get them back to school quick.
He's done.
It's been chaotic.
Done.
Coming up, we're going to meet the young Irish actor who swapped going viral on TikTok to starring alongside Aidan Gillen. Ashton Kearns is going to be here after 8.
Fabulous. Plus, can you ever have too many friends? You've got no, he's still collecting them, lads. If you want to be his friend, you can apply.
I am one of these.
Yeah, self-proclaimed Friendaholic Elizabeth Day is here after 9 with the answer. She's brilliant. Her How to Fail podcast is so good. We'll be chatting to her in just a little while.
Looking forward to that chat. And here's an interesting one. Should codeine containing medicines no longer be available over the counter? We're going to explore whether people are over-reliant on painkillers here in Ireland, because it is a big problem.
Yeah, we are the second highest consumers of codeine containing products in the entire world after South Africa. So
in the world?
In the world. South Africa, then there's us.
What?
Like
so like
we're really
Solpadeine, Nurofen.
Yeah, we're the second
in the
highest
world.
consumers in the world. So we'd love to hear from you this morning if it's something, because we've seen over the weekend, we talked about it last week, that it does really affect people. 0896 111 111, or do you think it's just going too far? Sometimes you just need the salts. Alan,
Absolutely.
what else is on the way this morning?
Well, we're in our Gadget man. Colin Baker has the inside scoop on how to best protect yourself from hackers online. And Paul Knapp is cooking up an Italian treat in the kitchen. So all that coming up. But now let's get the first news of the morning and over to the Virgin Media News Hub with Cliodhna Russell.
Thanks, Alan. Good morning. Judgment is due today in the Regency murder trial of Gerard the Monk Hutch. The 60-year-old has denied murdering Kinahan cartel member David Byrne in 2016, while 2 others have pleaded not guilty to helping a criminal gang carry out the attack.
Over 7 years after a shocking gangland murder which escalated a deadly feud, Gerard Hutch, the man known as the Monk, will learn his fate today. It's the state's case he was one of the gunmen who murdered David Byrne in a brutal and callous execution at the Regency Hotel in 2016. The Kinahan cartel member was killed almost instantly when raiders stormed a boxing weigh-in and gunmen dressed in tactical clothing opened fire. During the trial, which began last October, State witness Jonathan Dowdall testified that days after the attack, Mr Hutch confessed to him about his involvement in it. Defence lawyers claimed the former Sinn Féin councillor lied to put their client in the frame for murder. After over 50 days of evidence, testimony from some 140 witnesses, hours of surveillance tapes and covert Garda recordings played in court, the 3 judges of the Special Criminal Court will give their verdict today. Deborah Naylor, Virgin Media News.
At least 4 people have been killed in a mass shooting at a 16th birthday party in the US state of Alabama. 28 people were injured, some critically, after shots were fired at the party on Saturday night. US President Joe Biden has described the attack as outrageous and unacceptable. Fighting continued in Sudan last night despite the United Nations proposed 3-hour humanitarian ceasefire. The worst of the clashes are taking place in the capital. There are reports that members of staff working with the World Food Programme in Sudan have died.
Gunfire can be heard in Sudan's capital, Khartoum. This footage in the north of the city shows smoke rising as the Sudanese military and a powerful paramilitary group battle for control. Dozens of people have been killed and hundreds are wounded, including those fighting and civilians. Fighting has also broken out elsewhere in Sudan, a new blow to hopes of a deal with political parties to get the country back to its short-lived transition to democracy, derailed by an October 2021 military coup. The clashes in recent days followed months of heightened tensions between the military and its partner, now rival, the Rapid Support Forces group. Witnesses say fighters have been firing from machine guns mounted on pickup trucks and that they saw tanks in the streets of Khartoum. The military says it launched strikes from planes and drones at RSF positions in and around the capital. Marie Mulcahy, Virgin Media News.
A jury is due to be selected at Croke Park in Dublin this morning ahead of the opening of new inquests into the deaths of 48 young people in the 1981 Stardust tragedy. The blaze at a disco in Artane on Valentine's night also left many people injured.
48 people died and over 200 others were injured in the horrific blaze at the Stardust nightclub in Artane in Dublin on the 14th of February 1981. Survivors of the fire and the victims' families have campaigned for decades for a fresh inquiry into the disaster to determine exactly what happened and how.
Everything went out that night and nothing came back.
For 42 years they were only a number. And even down to here now, like we have a memorial wall here where you can see their photographs. They were real people. And it's important that the world knows, right, that they had ambitions too.
This long-awaited new inquest is now expected to get underway next week. This morning, some of the survivors and the victims' families will be at Croke Park, where the jury selection process will begin. 15 jurors will be chosen out of an estimated 3,000 people who have been summoned. Once started, it's expected the inquest could take a number of months to be completed, as hundreds of witnesses are to give evidence. But families say it will all be worth it if the truth is finally revealed and they have the chance to honour their loved ones. Nicole Gernon, Virgin Media News.
And finally, 4 dogs in Colorado in the US had a lucky escape when they were rescued from a storm drain. The pups were discovered in the drain where they appeared to be trapped. Fire crews who were called in to free the dogs say they entered the steep storm drain but then couldn't get back out. The stray dogs appeared to be unhurt as they were freed one by one. Here's Deric with your weather.
For car insurance, van insurance or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
Thank you, Cliodhna, and a very good morning to you at home or if indeed streaming online on the player. We're coming to you live here from the heart of the capital here this Monday morning. We are off to make some jewellery from scratch a little bit later on this Monday, so do hang with us for that. Lots to come over the next couple of hours. Anyway, let's take an opening look at how it's shaping up together now with Gary Cullerton with us on cameras. And I have to say, it is a mainly dry and a mainly settled start out there this morning. Now, we are seeing some patchy mist, a little bit of fog trail around as well, but elsewhere pretty settled and in fact quite mild out there this morning now in those light southeasterly breezes. Now across today, in fact, we're going to see some really, really nice sunshine, plenty of spring rays on offer right across today. We could see the odd light scattered shower trail in, but all eyes really on those temperatures out there today. It's going to be very, very mild, in fact warm out there today for some parts. We're talking 13 to 17, even 18 degrees in around parts of the Midwest, so looking pretty good if you're in that neck of the woods. Finally then tonight, mainly dry, calm, once again clear and settled. We will see mist and fog rear its head as well, and the fog in fact dense, especially through back and by roads. Underneath low cloud cover elsewhere through parts of Leinster. We will see the odd light scattered shower temperatures there back to around 8 to 11 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in a dry and settled Dublin city centre at the moment. We'll be back again live at 7:35.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote. It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We're going to start with the Irish Times. Its headline: Taoiseach says Dublin allowance very, very challenging. The provision of additional payments to teachers and nurses working in Dublin in order to address problems with recruitment and retention amid shortages of available accommodation would be challenging, Micheál Martin has said.
Vehicle theft epidemic as violent carjackings surge. Exclusive figures show more than 1,300 vehicles stolen across the country up until the end of March, while 33 hijackings or attempted hijackings have also taken place. That's the front page of the Irish Independent, and the Herald also runs with that same story.
The Examiner's top story is parents demand juvenile ICU for Cork. Calls are being made for paediatric intensive care facilities for Cork after the parents of a girl who died from a strep A infection highlighted how their daughter was taken to Dublin for treatment when she was critically ill.
Your identity on sale for €25. Major data breaches have resulted in a significant number of Irish customers' bank login details, passwords, PPS numbers and addresses being packaged together and sold on the dark web. That's the top story on the Daily Mail.
The Mirror goes with Hutch D-Day. Jerry Hutch will learn his fate today with the verdict due in the Regency Hotel murder trial.
The Sun also leads with Judgment Day for Jerry. 6-year-old Hutch will learn whether he will be caged for life today when 3 special criminal court judges finally deliver their verdict at 11 a.m.
More on this. The Star leads with hair today, gone tomorrow. The monk is so confident he will be acquitted of the Regency Hotel murder of David Byrne that he already has flights booked to leave the country. Now, coming up at Bauer Media, Sean Defoe will have the latest on those stories and more as we review the morning's papers.
Also later this hour, we'd love to hear from this 0896 111 111. We're going to investigate if making codeine-containing medicines prescription only. Would that reduce the addiction rate in Ireland? As you mentioned, we're the second highest takers of codeine products in the world. So do get in touch with us on that. We'll see you back here very shortly.
Joining us now to round up what it says in this morning's papers is political correspondent with Bauer Media, Sean Defoe. Sean, it's lovely to have you with us. We're going to start with a story that's on the front of the Herald and the Independent, and this is to do with vehicle thefts.
Yeah, it's becoming an epidemic now. Vehicle thefts. More than 400 a month so far this year up to the end of March. So there's more than 1,300 have been stolen.
That is frightening.
In the first 3 months of the year.
1,300 in the first 3 months of the year is pretty scary.
It's a huge amount. And like what they're saying as well is it's not just pulling it out of your driveway or stealing it from in front of the house, but apparently aggravated hijackings, like car hijackings where they get in, they toss you out of the car effectively, are also on the up as well. And that apparently this is not like, it used to be very much a random thing if that happened, it was someone chancing their arm or whatever, but apparently now there are people targeting certain types of cars even for these sort of hijackings, particularly some Japanese imports because they're less likely to have an immobiliser and less likely to have a security system.
Right.
27%, according to the Irish Independent figure, is of those hijackings are Japanese cars.
So yeah, they're favoured by joyriders. So basically, you're being tossed out of your car, so then go and take it for a spin.
Take it for a spin, and then probably dump it somewhere as well. But then, of course, there's the other side, which is the organised crime side of it. And like we had it in the estate recently, where literally 2 young lads came through the entire estate, tried every single car in the place if it was open, sort of rifled through, did what they could. Most of them that were locked, they left alone, and then at the end of it, stole one of the cars and were gone up the M50 tagged on the motorway tolls. So you can see it going on. It was mad. One of our neighbours caught them on the camera, and literally sauntering up, easy as you like, no rush on them, no fear, sort of trying the doors. Well, it's one of my neighbours. It's not funny actually, but they had your man left the car unlocked. He went in. Guy turns on the light in the car, shines the light onto his own face just to have a better look for rummaging around. Like, it's absolutely brazen.
Because I suppose with an awful lot of this, when it's carjackings, it shows there's no fear. They don't think a guard is going to see them and going to stop them, or anyone else, a member of the public, is going to be too afraid to do that. And I suppose we had always thought that with an awful lot of them, you'd hear the stories about they'd be robbed in the Republic, driven up north, and then they'd be over on a ferry over to the UK. But that's not the case.
Well, I think that is probably the case with some of them as well. But it is harder and harder now to do that with a car because they're easily traced, and obviously bringing it over it is a bit more difficult. But now chop shops seems to be one of the major ones, taking out the parts and exporting them in different containers. We were talking catalytic converters are probably still a thing. That's what you always used to hear about.
Well, that's what you heard. You would think of moved on. But
during lockdown, I was watching like a video a day of people just underneath cars, ring doorbells, seeing them taking the catalytic converters.
I wonder, are electric cars, like, are they something that's favoured as well? It'd be interesting to see.
It'd be interesting to know, actually. Yeah, it doesn't say specifically, but I suppose...
You'd love to see them on a 5% battery charge.
I was just going to say, getting away is not as easy, is it, if you have to stop and charge up for 25 minutes and get a coffee in the meantime?
The charge goes green, doesn't it, whenever it's done? Anyway, listen, have you been affected by this? Like, 1,300 car thefts already this year is huge. 0896 111 111. We'll move on to the next story, and you're talking about brazen again. This is in the Daily Mail, saying people's personal information on the dark web is also really brazen.
And is really cheap. This is what I couldn't get over in this article, that they are selling people's identities for 25 quid. And that includes
what
PPS.
Can you get? Yeah.
What can you get? What can I get if I wanted now? If I wanted your identity later?
Today?
Yeah. Why would you want? Well, so PPS number.
So PPS numbers, emails, passwords as well, but photo identification as well, passports, what you call them, driver's licenses, things like that, all for 25 quid.
Get all this.
And credit card details, apparently, according to the Banking and Payments Federations Ireland, are on sale online for as little as €10.
So could you set up a bank account with those sort of details? Couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably could. Yeah.
It's your identity theft. You can become the person.
And for €25.
Yeah, you can apply for more credit cards. You can you can rack up loads of debt. You can ruin someone's credit rating.
And what they're saying as well is, like, apparently, you know, cost of living crisis, what some people are doing is they are trying to buy these details and then using them thinking, whoever I take this money off, they'll get the money back off the bank anyway. Because you know the way, if you, I know I've had it before where, you know, you see, your card has been used somewhere and you report it and freeze the card and try and get the money back. It's a big, long process to go through if someone does try to defraud you of money. And that's without them having your identity. But if they had all your details and all your stuff and they could ring up over the phone and say, oh, yeah, my PPS number is XYZ, whatever, that puts it into a totally different ballgame.
Like, you can buy a credit card details for €10.
And it may or may not work, but sure, it's worth the gamble, isn't it? Is that what you wouldn't think?
Yeah, it might not work, but it's a cost of living crisis, so you might as well try it.
Yeah, and this is what, you know, all these data leaks that we hear about, and the data hacks, and you kind of think, oh, they go nowhere, they get a bit of attention. But that's where a lot of this information goes. And like Munster Technological University was targeted by one, obviously the HC was targeted by one not so long ago as well. And that's where all this is ending up. It's weird where data and the little things that we maybe don't even think about in all the things we're doing online every day has become so valuable to some people.
Yeah, it's an identity theft. It is increasing. It's a worldwide global problem. So that's one thing there. 0896 111 111 to get in contact. Now, do we have a little bit of music to play here for our next story?
And who is?
All day long I biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard.
What's this, Sean? If I was a wealthy man from Fiddler on the Roof.
I know this.
I thought it was going to be Gwen Stefani we were going to be playing.
I was a rich girl. Now, If I Was a Rich Man is from Fiddler on the Roof. And this is Fiddler on the Roof star Chaim Topol. He lived a double life.
Yeah, this is remarkable. So he died last month, aged 87.
Yeah.
And his family have now spilled the beans on everything he was doing because apparently he was a double agent for the Mossad as well, the Israeli intelligence agency. And so his family have spoken about, he used to take these weird trips in the 60s and 70s with this really high-tech mic and really high-tech tape recorder at the time. And particularly when he was in London with Fiddler on the Roof doing the West End.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of, like, that gave him huge access, obviously, high member of society, into all these sort of very exclusive parties and banquets. So he was leading this double life as a spy. And I suppose it makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense as an actor.
You know, as an actor or maybe like a former sports star, you might get access to certain things that...
I'm here, getting the inside scoop.
Yeah. You were in Brussels, actually, recently.
I sure was. I got kicked out pretty quick. They caught the massive big camera. Yeah. Nothing to see here. Why is he carrying a briefcase?
If you were a TV presenter who needed to be mic'd up, that'd be a very good cover as well, actually, for having a little microphone in your pocket.
Or else just start singing, if I was a... What is it?
If I was a rich man. Now all I can think of is Gwen Stefani. Very interesting. It's just something a bit mad, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
so
something like that. Who else is working as a double agent again?
Yeah, the family said he's no James Bond, or was no James Bond.
Tommy's finding out inside Ireland today. Oh my God, leaking it to rugby players all over the world.
Watch out.
We're going to move on to...
Expose on Murno Colin very soon.
She's loud. So
well,
everyone knows that I'm
This is one that you'll be related to. The next story. Irish shoppers now make up 60% of Penny's global fake tan sales.
Yeah, we're buying it literally off the shelves. You can sort of understand it. It's not exactly great weather, despite the weather over the weekend. 60% of all global tan sales. And we kind of think, when I saw this, I was like, how global is Penny's again? But you forget, Penny's is big. Penny's is obviously the UK, but they're branching out into America. They're branching out into parts of Europe as well.
Europe.
They're all over Spain as well. There's one big one in Barcelona last time I was there. So to still be 60% of fake tan, that's pretty big.
I want to know some fake tan disaster stories from the time that you put them on. You put them on, you wake up the next day and your boyfriend's like, someone's died in the bed, and it's just your outline from the fake tan.
I'll give you one actually I had. I was at a Halloween party once and had the makeup on, right? and, you know, got home very, very bleary-eyed and didn't take any of that off and was staying at my girlfriend's that night and kind of woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, oh, geez, I better take this off, and went in and grabbed whatever was to hand. It was tanning mitt. Started plastering the makeup off me to wake up in the morning with, Jesus, that makeup didn't come off at all.
As you go home,
it didn't come off for several weeks.
More and more.
More and more.
I just love that you'll be there all day, kind of showing the hand.
Yeah, going like, oh,
you don't need to be a special agent to get all this information.
That's for free. That's for free.
089 611 Do you have a fake tan story just like our Sean? That's a classic. Is there a picture? There's evidence.
I really hope not.
We're going to find it. We're going to find
media, as always. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much,
well
Sean.
done on your Biden bingo is an absolute.
We were so close.
Classic.
3 off, so close.
You can check it out on his Instagram. It's very good, very entertaining all week.
Coming up next from Monaghan's triumph.
Here we go.
Come on, the boys. Beat Tyrone yesterday to Arsenal's draw. Are they going to lose the Premier League? We're going to discuss all of Sunday's sport after the break.
Welcome back to Ireland AM. Now, we spend more than 30 other countries on codeine-containing medicines.
Now, here to discuss whether we have a nationwide addiction and if these products should be made prescription only is Dr. Garrett McGovern. Good morning to you, Garrett. So, have you seen an increase in people looking for these medications over the last number of years?
I've seen an increase in the number of people misusing them and presenting for treatment, yes, but the numbers are relatively small. In my opinion, relative to the numbers out there that are using it. I think there are a lot of people using it out there that are probably misusing it, but don't really know they're misusing it. And there are a lot of people it's very, very obvious.
Now, can we talk a little bit about what codeine addiction actually is, or what codeine does to the system? Because if we're talking about, we know it's in Solpadeine and we know that it's also in Nurofen Plus, and it's kind of the one that you have to go up and say to the pharmacist and give them your reasons for getting it. You used to be able to just buy them in the shop and now they're over the counter. So what does codeine addiction look like and how quickly does it develop?
So codeine is a analgesic, opioid analgesic, and basically it's used for pain, as we know. A little bit, it's in the same family as morphine, methadone, pethidine and others. Very much down the pecking order in terms of harm. What usually happens is the people who are taking this are taking it initially legitimately for pain. But often what happens is they will get some sort of subjective, I don't know whether you call it a high, but some subjective effect or pleasure from that would make a certain number of people continue to take it beyond the pain. So the pain is gone now at this stage, but they continue to take it. The problem with continuing to take it is two things. One is you're now getting opioid dependent, but also because it's a combination drug, you're now exposed to whatever the byproduct is in there. Because people are not addicted to paracetamol and they're not addicted to ibuprofen, which are the commonly the other painkillers that are in these medications. And the problem there is that this escalation in dose exposes you to very, very high levels of those other things. And it's usually those other things, it's usually particularly ibuprofen actually, that will probably present to a GP. Nothing to do with addiction, with things like stomach problems and kidney problems.
So is that what happens? You start getting stomach and kidney problems?
Yeah.
Like what?
So usually the most common is people will start to get heartburn.
Heartburn?
Heartburn, yeah. And then some people will start to, in some cases, they will get bleeding. Now, I want to be very clear on this. This does not happen when you take them for a few days. This happens with chronic use, and they're not meant for that purpose. They're very useful for acute use, but in chronic use, you erode the lining of the stomach, and that can cause bleeding, and in some cases perforation. And both those can be surgical emergencies.
Yeah. We're discussing this because there is this suggestion that in Ireland, products containing codeine become prescription only, like they have done in places like Australia. They're doing in Europe now, in France, like that. We'll get to that in just one second. What's the level of usage that you have seen where you're like, this is a major addiction?
Well, at least maybe a box of Nurofen Plus a day, sometimes 2 boxes I've seen.
2 boxes, like 12 or 24?
About 48 tablets.
A day?
A day, sometimes beyond that, you know, to 60. I've heard of cases. I haven't treated them, but I've heard of cases of 3 boxes a day.
But people surely would know that they have a problem when they're doing that now.
They know at that stage, because that lends
itself. So what are you seeing then? At what stage of people they're thinking, oh, well, I took 4 this morning, I'm taking 4 in the evening just to help through the pain I'm having. And I suppose some people have pain all the time. Maybe they have fibromyalgia or something like that. Yeah. So what do you say to people who are taking them on that regular basis, that maybe they're taking 6 a day? Is that still are they going down a slow path to
none of these
addiction?
None of these drugs are designed for long-term use, because ibuprofen certainly isn't. It's very much an acute
But what
drug.
do you do if you've constant pain?
If you've constant pain, well, that's an excellent question, because there's 2 types of pain. We're talking about acute pain, which is what these are used for, and chronic pain. Chronic pain is slightly different, but acute pain can run into chronic pain. I think the problem in this country is we're not managing pain very well. I mean, it's estimated about 1/3 of people in this country suffer from chronic pain, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So that's not managed very, very well. So we need to manage that well. And often when somebody comes to me, one of the things I do in that assessment is I try and assess whether they have a chronic pain problem. I have to say, most of the people that I treat for addiction of this don't have it. The pain is long gone at this stage. They just have the addiction. But some of them do, and you have to tease that out, because it's not just a simple case of we get them off the medication. If they're in pain, that pain needs to be managed.
And how do you manage that? Sorry, then what? So what do you do? Is it other treatments rather than taking the tablets?
Well, like everything with pain, you try and find out what the underlying cause is. But usually what we would do in a situation like that, we'd work closely with a pain specialist. So a pain specialist would look after the pain, and we would look after the addiction, and we would try and coordinate the care.
Because I don't know, like some people that I know, they don't know what they do without Solpadeine because of their, endometriosis or whatever. It's like it helps them survive the day-to-day pain that they have. So obviously that is an issue. Now there is this talk, because we are the second highest users of these products in the world. 5.1 million boxes of these sold in Ireland. Like, it's a huge amount, and it has increased a lot since 2017. And why do you think that is? Why do you think it's increased so much?
I think that the awareness of what the problems are with the addiction of this, and the lack of awareness about treatment, because it's very important I get this point across. I mean, we've done, very well in making it kind of back of shop, and people go in and they're asked questions. And I know there's some holes in that. Some pharmacies maybe are not asking the questions. But one of the things that's not been borne out, and I know this from talking to my patients who come, I often ask them, when did you find out that this was the treatment? And it's usually opiate substitution treatment, buprenorphine or even methadone. And they said, well, maybe I did a radio piece or something like that. That was the level we were at. They said, I didn't know what the treatment was. And I think we need to create more awareness about the treatment, because this is the people we need to hit on this, not the people who are going in for a few days to get to use it for pain relief.
Yeah. So, like, if you're recommending it then for a few days, I mean, is it not silly now that we're going to do this by prescription only? So you have to pay 60 quid to go to a doctor.
It's a
to
suggestion.
Get some,
we're not saying we're doing
we're not doing it.
Suggestion.
But like, if this comes through, that this suggestion is sort of bears fruit, and we're paying 60 quid to go to a doctor to get a box of Solpadeine.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think there are other things we need to do. We definitely need to deal with the issue. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But there are a number of things we can do beforehand. We need to create better awareness about treatment and the people who are suffering at the moment, because it's a big burden to the hospital system. And also there's a whole other thing with families and all having to deal with this. I think it's very, very important that we treat this problem and deal with this problem before we rush to judgment. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, 60 euro for what? Simple pain relief? You've never had a problem with it. No, I would agree with you.
See, that's the thing. It's kind of, as we always do, this is a problem, the same solution for everything. We know that they had loads of data in Australia when they decided to bring this in, and they were treating, there was up to 100 codeine-related deaths a year that they were like, this is because of codeine. We don't have that sort of data here.
No, we don't. I mean, one of the things that often when these topics come up, they always interview people in the addiction services, but really the hospitals are a mine of information. Gastroenterology, nephrologists, they have a huge amount of information out there of what the extent of this problem is coming into hospitals. Now, people will conceal it, but a lot of doctors are clever. They know what the risk factors are for, renal disease and for gastric ulceration. So, I think it's important to try and find out what the extent of this is, because they're more likely, Alan, to end up in a hospital with the complications of this than they are to me.
I see stomach lining and whatever.
I see it later on down the line.
Yeah.
You've said that you don't think that this is the answer to turn it prescription only, and we know that not it's a few countries that have done it.
Yeah.
Like, it is basically an over-the-counter medicine still.
Yeah.
Do you think that it is going to be an epidemic? It is an epidemic, or is it a small number of?
It's hard to know.
Okay.
It's hard to know whether you call something an epidemic. But I think if you look at, say, there was a study done in 2016 which estimated the number of people in addiction services would be about 2% of them would be for this.
Okay.
There's more than 2% of a problem out there.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is, but I reckon it's anything between 5% and probably 10, 15% perhaps.
With an addiction problem.
You have to remember, not everybody is taking it every day in a dependent fashion. Some people are binging on it. People are taking it for hangovers. And I think,
I know. I've been that soldier.
But it is. It's that cultural thing. It's like, oh, pop a salt and you're going to be OK. We'd love to hear from you on this because it is a very interesting subject as to whether it's going to become prescription only or not. 0896 111 111. Dr. Garrett McGovern, addiction specialist. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We've got plenty more Ireland AM on the way. We'll talk to you shortly. Hello and welcome back to Ireland AM. Look at that beautiful foliage. Tommy Bowe has been harassing our fabulous camera person, Deric Hartigan, all day going, look, frame this shot, Deric. It's gorgeous.
You see,
it's gorgeous.
This is what you do. This is what we lose.
He's been like this all day going, look at this, Deric. Do it over here.
Anyway,
do it over here.
Deric's taken on board. It's a beautiful shot.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Not Deric. Springtime's gorgeous.
Still to come, we have got fashion, Friendaholics and focaccia.
They're coming up very shortly. She's acted alongside Paul Mescal and Aidan Gillen in a new movie, all while becoming TikTok's favourite Irish mammy. Aisling Kearns is dropping by for a chat very shortly.
Yes. And we're going to get to play a clip of her being that Irish mammy, which I love to do. Now, from frenemies to ghosting, award-winning journalist and author Elizabeth Day talks the perils of a modern-day friendship.
Look forward to that chat. Also, plus we have some helpful hacks to help you not get hacked. Our gadget guru, Colin Baker, is going to talk online safety later on.
We were talking earlier on about identity theft, 25 quid to get all someone's details on the dark web.
It's frightening, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one to have a little bit later on. Now it's time to throw over to Alan. What's going on in the kitchen, Alan?
Yes, well, Muireann Paul Knapp is bringing a taste of Italy to the kitchen this morning. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, Alan. How are we?
So what are we making?
This morning we're making some creamy Italian white beans. You can serve that with pasta if you want, or you can serve it as we're going to serve it today.
Serve the beans with pasta?
You can serve them with a pasta. You can put them into the sauce. You can serve them as just a bean if you want as well. So it's you can use it as you want. But today we're going to serve that with a nice warm focaccia and a garlic dip.
Oh, lovely focaccia bread.
Oh yeah,
freshly
made just for you.
Love it, perfect. That's coming up a little later on. And Deric is bringing a little bling to the weather this morning. What are you up to, Deric?
Absolutely. We're busy little bees here this morning because we've landed here in Silverworks in the heart of the capital. We have got a metal masterclass coming your way later on this morning. In fact, we're going to be making a ring. Audrey, do you want to measure my hand there, my finger?
My finger, is it? Yeah.
What size am I?
I think your size or half.
Or and a half. So if there's any takers out there, I am an or and a half. But we've a metal masterclass coming your way a little bit later on. This will be perfect for you too, Muireann.
Don't start.
Oh, she's all right. Look at the bling on that, Deric.
Absolutely love that he did that. Or and a half, everybody.
What does that even mean?
So
right.
You do know. You would have gotten Lucy's ring sized, right?
Oh, she got it sized.
Oh, Lucy got it sized.
That wrong.
How did I know that?
Anyway, get outside. It's gorgeous this morning.
It
Enjoy
really
the
is.
beautiful spring weather.
For car insurance, van insurance, or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
Yes, thank you very much, Cliodhna. We're live here in Silverworks in the heart of Dublin City Centre this morning. We have got a metal masterclass coming your way in and around 8:45. There's a ring to be made here this morning, so do hang with us for that. Now, we're getting past 8 o'clock here together. Let's take a look at how it's shaping up, and you'll be glad to hear it's a mainly dry, it is a mainly settled start out there this morning. We're seeing good deal of cloud cover with some bright spells beginning to edge through now as we work our way into your breakfast time and those light to to moderate southeasterly breezes. Now, right across today, in fact, it's going to pick up pretty nicely. We're going to see some lovely spring sunshine across the country. A couple of hit-and-miss scattered showers, but certainly those bright sunny spells winning out as the day goes on, and it will be quite a mild. In fact, it could be a little bit of a warm day out there today. Quite unusual for this time of year. Values there at about 14 to 17, even 18 degrees through parts of the Midwest. Finally then tonight, it looks like mainly dry and set, a little bit of cloud cover building, low cloud cover there through parts of Leinster. Elsewhere, mist and fog, and in fact that fog will be dense in places, taking us through tonight into tomorrow morning with values back to about 8 to 11 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up for now. Come back to us live in and around 8:35.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The quote devil's always got one hell of a quote. It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline, Taoiseach says Dublin allowance very, very challenging. The provision of additional payments to teachers and nurses working in Dublin in order to address problems with recruitment and retention amid shortages of available accommodation would be challenging, Micheál Martin has said.
Vehicle theft epidemic as violent carjacking surge. Exclusive figures show more than 1,300 vehicles stolen across the country up to the end of March, while 33 hijackings or attempted hijackings have also taken place. That's the front page of the Irish Independent, and the Herald also run with that same story.
The Examiner's top story is parents demand a juvenile ICU for Cork. Calls are being made for paediatric intensive care facilities for Cork after the parents of a girl who died from a strep A infection highlighted how their daughter was taken to Dublin for treatment when she was critically ill.
Your identity for sale for €25. Major data breaches have resulted in a significant number of Irish customers' bank login details, passwords, PPS numbers and addresses being packaged together and sold on the dark web. That's the top story on the Daily Mail.
The Mirror goes with Hutch D-Day. Gerry Hutch will learn his fate today with the verdict due in the Regency Hotel murder trial.
Sun also leads with Judgment Day for Gerry. 60-year-old Hutch will learn whether he will be caged for life today when 3 special criminal court judges finally deliver their verdict at 11 o'clock.
And finally, the Star leads with Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow in relation to that picture of Gerry Hutch on the front. The Monk is so confident he will be acquitted of the Regency Hotel murder of David Byrne that he already has flights booked to leave the country.
That's confidence.
Yeah, we'll find out at 11 o'clock. Alan, a lot of big reaction to the discussion
we were talking
earlier.
about earlier on that there's this discussion that in the future that we may have to get a prescription to get codeine-based medications like Solpadeine. And we've had a huge response. And people just said, Jamie says, the issue with banning codeine, unless obtained by prescription, is that people who suffer from pain that doctors can't necessarily see are less likely to be given the correct medication to help them. And I suppose we were talking about if you've just have pain, day-to-day pain that you need, like short periods of pain where your Solpadeine works for you, if then you have to pay €50 or €60 to go to a doctor to get that medication, it's absolutely nuts.
For the majority of people who use these tablets, it's
don't
not
have a problem. Yeah,
but
it's not
the
a problem.
people that do have a problem. And that's what Sarah, it's really interesting what she said. I'm a pharmacy technician and every week we have the same people coming in and asking for codeine products. We've been receiving so much abuse lately for asking them just simple questions, which we discussed about earlier on, about customers' reasons for using the products. They need to be made available via prescription only. So many people are addicted and they don't even realise. And that's from a pharmacy technician who's on the front line who sees it.
Pharmacies have to ask. They're meant to ask a certain list of questions when you want products, so they have to do that. But we've talked about this before, and the rise in abuse and people just doing their jobs in recent years, whether you're working in a supermarket or like a pharmacy there, people are just so abusive these days.
If it's the same person going in every week, they know the questions.
They know the questions.
They know the answers
just say,
they're going to give.
No. But I know
it's
I've
why
had
you
that.
ask me these questions? I've already done them the last couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Just give me my throat.
You asked me this last week. I'm the same person,
Pat says, I think the vast majority of people use these medications responsibly, which is what Dr. Garrett McGovern, our addiction specialist, was saying earlier on. Making them available only by prescription will lead to a rise in black market sales. If people really want them, they'll find ways to get them.
An interesting one from Bridget here. I've seen firsthand the effects of these medications. I was in a treatment centre for alcohol addiction and the patients addicted to codeine suffered the most by far. It broke my heart.
Like, because the difference between paracetamol and codeine, like I even know when I played rugby and I got a bad injury, if I was to take paracetamol, you concentrate no problem, but if you took a codeine product, it did send you a bit more like you could see the reaction it makes, so you can see why people do want to take it.
It's like you get that more relaxed feeling about it, isn't it? It's sort of a bit more, a bit more, It's a buzz, and that's what it is.
And that's why it's addictive.
And that's why it's addictive.
That's why people are.
And that's why the doctor was saying earlier on, some people are taking 3 boxes a day. Now that's like 3 boxes a day.
We'd love to hear from you. It's 0896 111 111 throughout the show if there's anything that you want to get in contact with. Now on the way, actor Aisling Kearns talks Irish Mammies movies, and sure we'll have to talk to her about Paul Mescal. If you know him, we've got to ask you about him.
If you know him.
Morning, you're very welcome back. Our next guest is a rising star in the Irish theatre, TV and film scene, having worked with everyone from the likes of Aidan Gillen to Paul Mescal.
We've got to mention him. We've got to mention him when he's here. Before we chat to Aisling Kearns, let's take a look at her in action in her chilling new detective drama, Barber.
How are you getting on otherwise?
Well, I still can't smell anything. I'm sleeping 14 hours a day, and my memory's crap, so yeah, the same, Dad. How about you?
Stopped smoking.
Again?
Yeah, well, for good this time.
Where's Mom?
She'll be coming in later.
Ugh, I hope she doesn't bring Tom with her this time.
Tom's not so bad.
Yeah, but that's easy for you to say. You don't have to live with them.
There's a nightlife in here.
Ugh, just out of this world.
Okay, it's really chilling, and they're having a good old chat there. It's all good. Hello, good morning, Aisling Kearns. How are you?
I'm great.
It's lovely to have you here. We're going to talk about the film Barber in a second, but a lot of people were a bit worried about you. They thought that you were coming on to talk about your codeine addiction.
I know, they did. I don't have one. I'm fine.
Because it was like coming up tomorrow, codeine addiction, and there was a picture of you.
No, I'm fine.
She's fine, everybody.
Don't worry.
Let's not get into that. When you sat down inside here going, thanks, lads. Thanks for putting my picture up with that. Let's talk about Barber.
Yes.
This film, it was filmed 3 years ago.
2020. Like, start of COVID hit. And then, do you know, like, around the, August, July time, and everyone was like, it's gone. We're grand.
Yeah.
They were like, right, we're going to film it. They filmed it in 18 days. And then it literally, the whole country was like...
They filmed the whole thing in 18 days?
18 days, yeah. It was done on a micro budget. So, like, the film was... which is insane because... the quality is so high, cast, crew, everything. But it was actually done on quite a small budget.
And you play, to play alongside Aidan Gillen as well, it's intimidating, but playing his daughter, I'd say it's quite intense, isn't it?
Oh my God, I was terrified. Like, we met up before we filmed, because I was like, I'm playing his daughter. I can't come on to set being like, oh my God, it's Aidan Gillen. Like, hello, I'm fine. I can do this. But so we met up and chatted beforehand, and yeah, it was great to get to meet him. But then, of course, still first day I was nervous.
Because it's Aidan Gillen. He's been in absolutely everything. What's the film about?
He is a private detective, and a girl goes missing, and he's asked to find out what happened to her. But it also goes into his personal life. So I play his daughter, who was in a serious accident and is just coming out of rehabilitation. She's been in a centre for 6 months. So it's a film noir, so it kind of goes into his personal life, his sexuality, of course, and the main storyline of the private detective and trying to find this girl. So there's a lot happening in 90 minutes, but it's really good. I'm
exciting to be a part of. Like, when you get a nod to be in a film like that with Aidan Gillen and a great cast, must be so exciting, particularly coming out of COVID when the whole thing all shut down.
Yeah, well, I was over the moon when I got cast, and the minute Aidan Gillen was mentioned being attached to it, that's a lot of the cast jumped on board because of that. And Fiona and Fiona, the producer and writer, and Fintan, the director, they've done some great work as well. So that was part of it, but Aidan's name being attached to it, people were jumping on board. Like, the cast in it is incredible. Like, you know, it's
it is the sort of thing that you're kind of seeing the country more support. Like, I think since on Colin Kearns and everything like that with sort of the success, it's because this has gotten a wide release. Getting great reviews. So you must be delighted to be like, OK, people are supporting our own quite a lot these days.
I think you're right when saying Colin Kearns kind of pushed, like, Irish film and TV and what we have to offer, like, and like, how many times has there been a film that was produced by, say, an American producer or a British producer, and it's Irish based, and half of the actors aren't Irish? Like, you know, I think that's starting to go away, and they're finally starting to go, we have the talent here, let's use them, you know?
It's massively going away. Like, you just look at the recent Oscars, the success and how well, like, how amazingly well Ireland was represented in it, in the likes of Paul Mescal, a guy who you, of course, worked alongside before he became Mr.
I knew him before he was famous, so really tight like that.
I knew him before the shorts and the necklace.
And, like, because it was Mark McDonagh as well, who, of course, is absolutely taking the world by storm as well. It was like one of his plays you're involved in.
Yeah, and it was great because we actually got to meet Martin. He came in for a day of rehearsals when we did The Lieutenant, so, like, it was class. But yeah, it was great.
Was it the Lieutenant of Inishmore?
Yeah.
Like, could you see with Paul, because was this around normal people?
He'd shot normal people, and then he was doing The Lieutenant. So this was like the lull before everything hit the fan, like, you know. So it was gas because he'd be like, oh, I've like these two American agents coming in. I'm like, who are they? And he's like Saoirse Ronan's American agent. I'm like, there's Ronan's American agents coming in. Oh my God. And he was like, I know. And I was like, Paul, you're going to be so famous. Like, this is gas. But
then when you met him recently, you're at the Dublin International Film Festival, and you met him, I was looking on your Instagram, and, you know, you always are looking for a laugh. Like, you have a great time. And I think, were you just like, look how famous you are.
I literally said that to him. I was like, Paul, it's mad. I was like, you can't go anywhere. Everyone knows who you are. Like, I was like, you can't go into Aldi. You can't do your shopping. Like, it's mental.
You're missing out loads in the middle aisle, Paul.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, them specials.
See what's happening. But how does that feel? How does that feel for you? Because in a very short career, you have done so much in like starting your career in something like Asking for It, which was the stage production of Louise O'Neill's book, which is very hard about, you know, rape and date rape and everything like that, to doing stuff like Fair City, the soap, film. You're on stage. There's nothing you won't do.
Yeah.
And then you've got the social media comedy as well.
Yeah.
The Irish Mammy.
Spinning all them plates.
You really, like, you can't pin you down.
Yeah, but I think it's just because, like, when I was a kid, like, I wanted to be an entertainer. Like, that's what I wanted. I would get my cousins to sit down in front of me, and I'd be like, OK, I'm going to perform now for you. Watch and enjoy, and then clap afterwards. You know,
stop picking your nose.
Yeah, focus here. Literally, I was like that. So, like, I enjoy all the realms. Once someone is enjoying my performance and what I'm doing, and, like, you know, I'm enjoying it, like, I'm happy, like, to work. Like, that once I'm working, I'm happy, like, you know.
Do you like the serious ones, though? Because you've been involved, you've been cast in a lot of serious
very
roles.
serious stuff.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah,
it's
like,
work,
I
suppose,
enjoy. Well, I enjoy all different styles. Like, you know, it's strange because I naturally go towards comedy. Like, my TikToks and stuff took off because I think that's quite natural for me to do comedy. But most of the acting that I've done have been dramatic and serious stuff, like, but...
Because you are a very naturally funny person. Let's take a look. Let's do the Irish Mammy TikToks. We'll have a look now. Here's Aisling.
Richie, how are you? That's the eldest now, Sarah. Yeah. And your John's still doing the engineering, is he? Oh, isn't he very good? Yeah. And Bridgie, didn't he wake up the next morning dead? Well, Bridgie, I was across in Duns. €15. €15 for a bag of cheese. Yeah. Pregnant.
I woke up dead. I love that, exactly. I know, that was a saying. I always say that, and I don't know where I heard it from. It's obviously your TikTok, or else it was my mum. Have you been impressed my mum?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Is it your own mum? Like, does she get...
She's not like that at all. It's gas. She's always like, Aisling, I'm not like that. No, you know I'm not. I don't go on like that. It's more so like... an idea of like I'd have aunties, which I won't mention names because I've already had my aunties go, "Are you talking about me when you're saying that?" I'm like, no. But aunties and friends, mums, and just that a culmination of like a really Irish kind of mother. And
every time I watch one, I'm like, you know, it's just so good.
Elements.
It's so
I love the nuns one. It's a couple of them are very, very
They're
clever.
so funny. But kind of with when you're acting, and there have been so many dark roles, seen you in so many dark things, and you are naturally like outside there, you had me laughing in 2 minutes already because you're so funny. Are you method? No. Are you like, I'm doing a job, thank you?
Absolutely not. No, I don't. Personally, I don't agree with that at all. Like, it's my job. So I have things that I do to, like, step into a character and step out of it. And luckily, I worked with this movement director called Sue Mythen on Askinford, which was my first professional role, a very tough, emotional role of this woman who had been raped.
Yeah.
And I had to, she worked with me on like, okay, there's something you're going to do before you play her and afterwards so you can step in and out. And I would literally come off stage, do my little movement thing, shake her off, and then be like, right, lads, go for a pint, like, you know. And people would be like, how are you not, like, dead after that? And I was just like, well, I just have to step out in and out of it because it's not who I am and I can't hold on to that.
I love that.
Yeah,
it's your job.
Amazing.
It's brilliant. Barber, dark thriller noir. It is out now in cinemas. Go support if you possibly can. Ashton Kearns will have you here very soon, taking over the world. You're so famous now.
Oh my God, stop her.
Don't forget about us, small timers now.
Oh, she'll only do the late. She'll have nothing to do with us soon.
Yourself and Paul beside you. Oh,
nothing to do with us.
Still to come, we've got Weatherman Bling, a Cookery King, and Friendship Flings.
Car insurance, van insurance, or home insurance. Call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
Yes, thank you very much, Cliodhna. We're live here in the heart of Dublin City Centre this morning. We have got a ring-making masterclass. We're busy little bees here this morning. That's all coming your way at 8:45. A quick look at weather at the moment, and it's a mainly dry and settled start. Now, there is a little bit of mist and fog trailing around. So nice bright spells beginning to kick through as the morning goes on now in those light to moderate south-easterly breezes. Now, pushing our way through your Monday, take a look at the map. Plenty of sunshine on offer out there today. Some light scattered shadows, but certainly those spring rays winning out now as we kick off a brand new week, and very mild, in fact quite warm out there today for some parts. We're talking temperatures of about 13 to 17, even 18 degrees there through parts of the Midwest. I do enjoy it down that neck of the woods. Finally then tonight it looks like mainly dry and settled. Clear skies once again will allow for some mist, dense fog as well taking us through tonight and into tomorrow morning with values back to around 8 to 11 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up for now. Come back to us live in around 8:45. Here we go.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote.
It's great to have you back. Now, Paul Knapp is in the kitchen with a one-pot white bean wonder.
Yeah, what's so special about this, Paul? It actually tastes delicious.
I like the way you're always surprised it actually tastes nice, you know?
No, sorry. I know, I say that to every chef and they go, oh, thanks for that, but it does taste delicious.
Yeah. So what we're making is a white bean stew, a white bean kind of just Italian dish. Really simple. Like, I suppose everyone's gone back to school now. Do you know what I mean? We've got more free time. We can spend it back in the kitchen. So
these out of a tin?
Absolutely, yeah. Now, you can soak these and you can cook them overnight. You can do all those bits and pieces, or you can just open a tin. So you can do it that way. So what we're using garlic, chilies, we're using shallots there. I'm using shallots instead of onions, just because they're slightly sweeter and they're not so kind of aggressive from a flavour. Some fresh vine tomatoes with some fresh basil and some spinach. It's really easy to do. So all the recipes up on Island M's Facebook page, as well as the Virgin Media One's website. So what I did during the break is I've just sweated down really, really slowly the shallots. I've used about 4 or 5 shallots about this size, treated it the same as an onion, peeled it.
Why the shallots instead of just an ordinary?
Again, they're slightly sweeter and stuff, and not so aggressive in flavour. And all I've done there with the garlic, I don't know if you can see that, is I've just cooked this down over about 8 minutes. Start to finish.
Just shallots in there?
There's shallots, garlic and chilli, about 4 finely sliced cloves of garlic and just half a chilli in there as well. And I've just cooked that down really, really slowly. So the oil and the garlic is all nicely infused. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take, you know the trays you get of the sun-ripened tomatoes, yeah? So I've got 2 of those. So I'm just going to pop those in here, leave those whole, OK? And what we're going to do is we're going to coat those in that lovely oil. So really all the flavours that we're using is just, as I said there, just this onion, the garlics and that. And all we do is we're going to pop that on there like that. Just leave that there for a couple of minutes. As we said, start to finish about 25 minutes, so it doesn't take long to cook this dish, all right? With regards to these beans, as you said there, you can soak them and you can cook them, just takes longer to do. Or you can open a can, you can just drain them, give them a quick rinse out and stuff like that, and then you can use them. Now, what I say is with the liquid that you drain them with, you can use it as like an aquafaba. So what that means is you can use it as an egg replacer to make things like meringues, and you can also make like a mayonnaise. So what I've given you there with the focaccia...
Yeah, the mayonnaise with the focaccia here
and all that
gorgeous,
is just the bean juice with some garlic, with some mustard, with a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of maple syrup for sweetening, and then just whiz-bang that with a hand blender and some vegetable oil, and it makes a mayonnaise. So safe throwing it away, absolutely, yeah.
Again, so the bean juice,
garlic. You treat it like the egg. So into the bean juice, you put in some mustard, you put in some seasoning, you put in, again, a little bit of white wine vinegar.
So this is a vegan mayo?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So it saves buying it and saves wasting.
Good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely. Garlicky, but...
Absolutely, yeah. So what we've got now is these tomatoes have been cooking realistically for about a couple of minutes, OK? And into that, we're going to add in a decent glass of white wine.
Wow.
So when I say a decent glass, probably about 120 mils of white wine. All right? And again, we're going to let that bubble away and let that reduce down. So Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon Blanc or something like that.
Doesn't make a difference.
Does it? What, the wine? Absolutely, yeah. I think you can taste. I think it's all about layering flavours. If it wasn't in there, the chilli wasn't in there, it would taste nice, but it wouldn't taste, you know.
But if you had different types of wine.
It's just there'd be stuff different like sweetness and dryness and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really a wine person. It's kind of wasted on me. Do you know what I mean? So it's just a white wine and just chuck it in there.
Well,
so what's going to happen as we cook these tomatoes?
I certainly wouldn't be putting a nice wine into food.
As we cook this down, OK, the tomato skins are going to start to come off. They're going to start to soften down and things like that. They're going to reduce down, reduce down, reduce down. And then what we do is, when they're lovely and soft, you can actually just squash them with a spatula.
Yeah.
Or what we can do...
Oh, you're mashing them?
Well, you can just literally... All we want to do is burst them, OK? So we want to burst them to release all of those flavours whilst we're reducing down the white wine. And what we've got here is this lovely white wine... So just be careful because they do kind of spit back at you. This lovely white wine, this lovely kind of garlicky infusion. So we would reduce this down, reduce this down, reduce this down and reduce this down, OK? We're going to put some fresh basil in there. So just a bunch of fresh basil goes into this, all right? I'm going to pop that in there.
This before. You could whiz it as well.
Absolutely. If you want to hide it from the kids.
Blender.
Absolutely, yeah. So like with the beans, to get their protein and get their fibres in and stuff like that.
Is this basil in this or is this spinach?
Basil and spinach.
Oh, right.
So we finish it with the spinach at the very, very end. So what you've got, this is a colourful dish. You could actually stop there now, put in some, say, fresh linguine, and you've got a lovely sauce, OK?
Yeah, exactly.
So what we're going to do is we're going to chuck in there our beans, all right? If you want to kind of increase the intensity of the tomato flavour, you can put in a little bit of... I'm just putting in there some sun-dried tomato paste. You don't have to. It's kind of just optional if you wish, OK? And then we give this a nice stir and we bring all of this together, OK? And what we do is we finish this off with a plant-based cream. So what you've got is you've got your white bean kind of a sauce. As we said there, you could serve this with a pasta. You could just serve this on its own. You could actually just...
How do you serve that with a pasta now? Would you? Because, like, it's full enough, isn't it?
It's huge, yeah. It's really filling itself. But if you wanted to, you could put some pasta in there, stir it in, and then you could just put some crumbles of breadcrumbs and some cheese and bang it in the oven into like a pasta bake or something like that.
Okay.
So, you know, you can use this kind of over 2 or 3 days if you wanted to. Some plant-based cream, 250 mils goes into this. OK.
Now, if you didn't want to do a vegan one, is that just normal cream?
Absolutely, yeah.
Or kind of cream cheese? Or
you can put cream cheese in it. You can do whatever you want. You're Tommy Bow, do you know what I'm saying? You can do whatever you want at the end of the day.
You're the main man, Tommy. Well, come here. Like, say you weren't doing... If you weren't... Like, would you add then chicken or something to this if you wanted to do it?
You could do, but, like, it's a dish...
Where would you add it, though?
You could put it in kind of now if you wanted to, put the chicken in and cook it in the cream. So you wouldn't have to... You could fry it and you could put it in after. You can put it in wherever you wish, really. Do you know what I mean? But this is a dish that kind of lends itself to not having chicken in it. Just check the seasoning a little bit.
I'm just saying, you know, some people at home go...
Absolutely, yeah. So you can put it in now if you wanted to, because it doesn't take that long to cook. And I'm putting in there...
putting a big load of spinach in on
and
top
now
of
that
it.
wilts down. So that's one of those bags of spinach.
Oh, I know. They go down to nothing.
Absolutely. So we'll leave that on there, do its thing. Really? And when we're done, what you get is you get this lovely bean, spinach, basil... And I say this would feed probably about 4 to 6 people.
It's really tasty.
It's very tasty.
It's
Mirren,
really
Mirren has to try this because it's actually gorgeous.
OK, well, I won't eat that one then.
Oh, no. And you have it with your focaccia bread.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, come here. I have to say, the focaccia bread is beautiful. Can you come in and show us how to make focaccia bread?
Bread in itself is like, it's a series in itself because of the process that it goes through. And it would do it an injustice to do it in, say, 5 or 6 minutes.
Oh, really?
So no hassles at all, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, but like for today, do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, but can you, like, seriously come in and just do... Because your focaccia bread is delicious.
No worries.
And that beans...
I would make that at home now and I'd whiz it up so the kids don't know anything about it. It's absolutely delicious.
Then it's just a soup.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You're trying to, it's to say, from the nutritional point of view.
Put it with pasta.
And what you're doing is you're introducing them to the flavours.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul, absolutely delicious.
Gorgeous.
Really gorgeous. Now, after the break, Deric is unlocking his inner jewellery designer. We'll see in a few minutes.
Hello, you're very welcome back. Now, if there's one person who loves a bit of jewellery...
I know, and today's the day that I'm not wearing 75 pieces.
You're not clanging around the place as normal.
It's not you, it's Deric. He's getting a jewellery-making masterclass.
I'm eating focaccia, so let's watch you do something, Deric. You all right there?
Yeah, Myrna, are you jealous? You'd rather be here, wouldn't you? Anyway, welcome here to... we're here at Silverworks here this morning in the heart of Dublin City Centre in Jewellery Street. Madeline Blaine is with us. Madeline, tell us about the little bit of business, because you're all up and running 5 years now.
Yes, we are. So we started off in the basement, our shop, The Collective on Jewellery Street. It was just a small basement shop, and bit by bit over 5 years we've grown up. Now we take over 4 stories in the middle of the city centre.
So you've kind of gone from the ground up, really, in terms of your business.
We literally have. And Silverworks was kind of happened by accident. Airbnb got in contact with us and asked if we wanted to do a craft business. And we thought, well, it'd be good to do an experience. And literally overnight, we went from doing 1 or 2 classes a week, and now we do them every day of the week. And we do make, our most popular one is Forge a Silver Ring. You'll see the demo in a minute, where you make a ring from scratch in 2 hours. People love it because you get to take it home. It's a bit of fun. There's small groups. The teachers are great fun. So it's just a nice thing. We've started doing a lot of hen parties, team building, date nights.
Yeah, I was going to say, this would be a lovely little date night now as well, wouldn't it?
It's a really nice date night. We've had people get engaged here.
No way, have you?
We've had quite a few people get engaged here. We also do the wedding band class as well, which is a nice follow-on from that. And then people come back a few years later saying, you know, they made their ring here, and we set in gemstones for them afterwards. And that's a lovely thing to say. Some people say it's a highlight of their wedding, making their wedding band.
Yeah, and so you can come in here, obviously, potentially make your engagement ring, and then from there go on to make your wedding ring.
Exactly, yeah, it's an all-in-one process.
In terms of the metal then, where do you get it from? Where do you get your gems as well?
Well, it comes from London. The gemstones come from Germany, a lot of them, and we use them. We do gem setting classes. We do a lot of longer courses as well. So if you do the taster class and you think, oh, this is something I want to carry on doing, we do 5-week courses and 9-week courses. So you can really become a sort of a career out of it as well, bit by bit, if you find.
And it's a very creative way to spend a couple of hours, isn't it? Because I'm really enjoying it here this morning.
It's a great thing. I think people wind after they come back from work and they want to work with their hands. It just really grounds you, and it's creative, and people just love seeing behind the scenes of how to make jewellery. It's very interesting, you know.
No fear, I'm not going to get down on one knee here now. There isn't a proposal on the cards here, Grant. Now, Audrey, tell us about the process here of ring making.
So, Deric, you start off with a strip of silver, right?
Yes.
And everyone has their own ring size. We need to measure the strip of silver that you need for that.
Okay.
And then we cut through it with our jeweller's saw.
Okay, so that's a little hacksaw there, yeah?
Yeah, a little saw. And we form it then with our pliers. And then we need to hammer it round the mandrel then. Okay, that you're enjoying this morning.
Yes.
So you hammer this round.
And you have to give it a good proper whack, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And what you're doing there is very good, fair play to you. So you're going to be hammering these in. Yeah.
Into place, so it's kind of gentle taps either side.
Yeah, exactly. And you're getting it right, and then just until it touches.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, and so from there, now I've obviously been working on this over the last hour or so. So what do we do next?
So we get a nice clean solder joint, we cut through this, and then I'm going to solder it now in a second. But I do have one here that I am going to solder for you now.
Okay, so the soldering process, what's involved in that then?
So it's heating the metal, and you're using silver solder to basically fuse the metal together.
Okay.
So I already have my flux on.
Yes.
It helps the solder to flow. I'm heating the whole piece here.
And there's a lot of cleaning then involved in between each stage.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm just going to introduce a piece of solder here now.
Okay, and then you just add that onto the...
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
And you just solder that on. Lovely.
Yeah, and it is going to melt now. There we go. That's flowed now, yeah.
And that just links the two bits together.
And then the process that people love is we drop it into our pickle pot. Listen.
Okay, your little pot there. Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll harden up.
Yeah.
So from there then, we're on to the shaping process.
Yes, so we hammer it round again and we clean it up and you add your texture.
Okay.
And you're going to be adding that until it fits you, okay? So hopefully, when you take this off, this will fit you.
Okay, this should fit me. Okay, here we go. All right. By the way, where can we find you online?
We can find us on silverworks.ie.
And across all your socials as well. So look, here's the moment now. 3, 2, 1.
Is it going to fit?
Ta-da! There you have it there, guys. So, unfortunately, I don't think there is a proposal here this morning. But in fact, there is a birthday because it's Caroline's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Caroline. Back to you guys in studio. Ta-da! I'm loving this.
It fits. What was the ring size tune? No.
Or 2.
Oh, or
Wasn't
2.
that what he was? He was an or 2.
Or and a half, I think
We've
it
been
was.
talking about the rings here and whether you take it off or don't take it off. And Alan never takes his ring off, but Tommy has to. And he was like, would you not be taking it off, Alan, for when you're doing your chin-ups?
Oh, Al's big into a swim.
Which I said, what are chin-ups?
When we're going to take a bit of day to get rid of all your rings
Well,
anyway.
I would just stop. I don't have any on. Now, on the way, we answer the age-old question. Double denim? Yay
Bewitched
or
are back.
nay?
Who knows?
And our gadget
wondering.
guy, Colin Baker, reveals his top tips to prevent your information from being hacked.
Plus,
we were talking about that earlier.
Award-winning journalist, author and podcaster Elizabeth Day reveals why she was a Friendaholic if she isn't anymore. Anyway, all to come in the next hour. See you shortly.
Hello, welcome back to the final hour of Ireland AM in the forest, in the green, in the trees.
Look at the greenery, isn't it gorgeous? Yeah. We have a busy old hour coming up. First off, she's the award-winning author and journalist that chinwagged with everyone from Bernie Saunders to Phoebe Waller-Bridge to like pretty much
everyone.
Yeah. And she's now turning her attention to friendship. Elizabeth Day is going to check in very shortly.
Plus, our tech whiz, Colin Baker, has some top tips and gadgets to help you avoid being scammed. What have you got for us today, Colin?
Well, we've got lots of tips and tricks and guidance on keeping your data and your identity safe online. And this is very poignant today. Story in the Irish Daily Mail about your identity being for sale online for 25 quid. So we'll be helping you avoid that today.
Oh my God, surely you'd be like 35 quid to be Tommy Bow.
Inspector Gadget. I'm just waiting for Colin's arms to bounce out of his jacket there. The hat, that's also what you need. Thanks very much, Colin. Look forward to chatting to you about that very shortly. Alan, what else is coming up in the catwalk?
Please don't encourage Colin any further now. He doesn't need that encouragement. Now, from Bewitched to Elvis, who doesn't love a little denim? And Lorna is here with a denim do's and don'ts. What are the do's and what are the don'ts?
You'll have to tune in at 9:35 and I'll tell you. We're going to talk about keeping proportion with new denim shapes like wide leg, cropped, the ones that we don't tend to wear that much. We always kind of gravitate to the same, classic skinny jeans. So especially with this kind of style, which is wide leg.
The wide leg are coming back, aren't they?
Very much so, and really emphasis on comfort. But what kind of top do you wear with them? What kind of length and what kind of shoes go with these kind of style of denim as well? So I'll share everything later on this morning.
Okay, all very important questions.
Very.
That will be answered.
For car insurance, van insurance, or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
Yes, thank you very much, Cliodhna. We're still here in Silverworks in the heart of Dublin city centre. Audrey's polishing up a ring here this morning. We're getting past 9 o'clock here together. Let's take an open look at weather. And in fact, some really nice sunshine now kicking through as we work our way past the 9 o'clock hour. We had a good deal of cloud cover earlier on now, but beginning to brighten up pretty nicely as the morning goes on. You'll be glad to hear in those light to moderate southeasterly breezes. Now, right across the day, plenty of spring sunshine on offer. Kickstart starting a brand new week. It is looking pretty good out there this Monday. Some light scattered showers, but elsewhere, that sunshine winning out. And in fact, those temperatures winning out there today, because it will be quite a mild. In fact, it could be a little bit warm, would you believe it, out there today. We're talking highs of 14 to 17, even 18 degrees. Quite unseasonal for this time of year through parts of the Midwest. Finally then tonight, mainly dry, calm and settled, very similar to last night where it does clear out. We're going to see some patchy mist, some dense fog in places as well to take us through tonight into tomorrow morning, but still holding mild in terms of those valleys with temperatures back to around 7 to 11 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up for now. Come back to us live in and around 9:35. You finished there, Audrey? Lovely.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The quote devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, earlier on we were talking about this proposal that may come in Ireland that you will have to get a prescription for over-the-counter codeine medicines like Solpadine Solpadol and Nurofen and Solpadine. And we've got such a reaction from you all morning about it. It's something that's really struck a chord. Anne said, I've worked in pharmacies for 15 years and seen so many people addicted to codeine who travel all over the county and further to buy their stash of medication. Because of this, it's very difficult for staff to monitor customers' usage. And I actually know people who will go from one chemist to another to buy their Solpadine because they're getting quizzed enough times in the one, so they just go...
You've got to spread it around.
Or if you're just in a shop somewhere, they'll just pop into a chemist if they're somewhere else and so, I'll go in there and I'll get me Solpadine.
I didn't even know that you get quizzed, but it's actually, like, it's such a problem here in Ireland.
Yeah, they'll ask you, well, like, what's it for? Is it for yourself? What kind of pain do you have?
No,
it's only for 3 days and stuff like that.
As Dr. Garrett McGovern said, it was brought in about 10, 15 years ago, in about 2010, and it was brought in because obviously it is an opioid.
Deterrent to stop people.
But people weren't taking it as much back then as they are now.
Like,
no, it wasn't a deterrent.
Are
it was
we
just
not
like, we
the
have to ask
second
this.
highest in the world?
We are now.
Yeah, but Tommy, do you know what he said? It's only when it was readily available in the shop. It wasn't as bad.
Popular.
Now that it's like gone behind the counter and you have to ask for it, it's nearly like, oh, this is the good stuff.
That's what it is.
Well, that's actually what someone said here as well, isn't it? That I think in Ireland we have a problem with wanting the strongest possible remedy without even trying other things first. With the cost of medication, people only want to buy one thing and see results. So that just shows that, like, I don't want to waste my time in just a paracetamol. I want the stuff that's really going to work.
But I do think people do find it, and you'd agree, Miriam, on this, if you have some kind of severe pain for 2 or 3 days, that Solpadine does help a bit, maybe better than an average paracetamol.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
and
come
people
on.
know that.
Like,
people
we all know that
yeah.
it's period pain is a huge reason that people get it all the time.
An interesting one here from Jürgen. People should have the freedom to make their own decision on whether they use these medications or not. Nobody asked me in the pub if the pint is for myself or for someone else. Smokers are also not questioned and cigarettes are not on prescription. Maybe they should start putting these measures in place instead. It's easier nowadays to get drugs on the street than it is to buy a packet in Nurofen.
Well, maybe not agreeing with that, but I do agree, like, maybe a pint with a double whiskey or something like that.
It's an opioid, so we're all just catching up. And we all know in a few years' time you will not be able to get cigarettes. Like, that's gonna be totally gone. And God only knows what's going to happen with alcohol usage. So they're just kind of catching up with what's going on.
Yeah, but it seems like this is definitely overtaking the likes of alcohol and cigarettes.
Oh, as a problem. Well,
as something that
as a problem that we'll see in the future.
For it.
We don't actually have the data on it. Anyway, listen, thank you very much for all of your messages on that. Now, after the break, author Elizabeth Day is going to fill us in on the positives and the pitfalls of friendship. We'll talk to you very shortly.
To have you back. She is a best-selling author, an award-winning journalist, and the host of a super successful podcast.
She gets a lot done before we're finished our working day. Elizabeth has everything else done. That's it. Elizabeth Day joins us to chat about frenemies, failure, and her brand new book, Friendaholic. Good morning, Elizabeth. How are you?
Good morning. I'm so well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's lovely to have you on, and we are talking about your new book, and we were just chatting about codeine, right? And the buzz that people have. But I remember this bit from your book, and it was about when you would make new friends, I would get a buzz from that moment of exchange, a pure hit of friendship adrenaline. You're a friendaholic. What does that mean?
exactly that. I can totally relate to that anticipatory buzz that you get when you feed your own addiction. So a friendaholic is something that I coined to express my codependent relationship with friendship. And there's a long story behind that, and I go into some of it in the book. But essentially, it's someone who relies on making connections with other people to shore up their lack of self-esteem. And that was me. So for me, for a very, very long time, it was extremely important for me to have a very, very big network of friends without realizing that actually having so many people that I would consider friends meant that I wasn't spending time with the people who loved me the most, because I was spreading myself too thinly and I was actually undermining the real purpose of friendship.
Okay, interesting. Right, because you grew up in Derry, is that right? And so you had all these friends in Derry, but they weren't actually true friends. Is that what it was? Is that...
Are we blaming Northern Ireland, Elizabeth?
No, love Derry, love my friends in Derry. But as you can hear from my voice, I've never spoken with an Irish accent. And at the time that I was living in Derry, so my family moved out there in 1982. My dad was a surgeon, he's now retired. But I never picked up the accent. And to speak with an English accent in certain areas was to mark you out as an occupier, as the enemy. And when I went to secondary school in Belfast, that was a much trickier time for me. And I really struggled to develop true connections. And I felt very isolated. I was a little bit bullied. And that was the starting point, I think, for my mania of friendship. Because when I changed schools when I was 13, I went to that new school and I just went with this absolute determination that I was going to make as many friends as possible, because I believed that there was safety in numbers. I believed that there was safety in belonging to a tribe. And what I hadn't realized was that I wasn't being accepted for myself. I was changing myself to fit in with what other people wanted. And that's also part of being addicted to friendship and being a friendaholic, is that actually you never take the time to understand who you are.
Yeah.
And in a way, you're sort of selling a bit of a lie to the people that you then become friends with, because you're setting their expectations unrealistically for what they can expect from you. Which is why Friendaholic is all about developing a new language of friendship, where we can all just be clearer about what we mean when we say we want to be someone's friend.
And what do you think that means for you now? Because I know that this sort of dawned on you during the pandemic, like it was with so many people, your codependency on other people when you couldn't be with them. So what does it mean for you now? Do you see that there were friends who weren't really friends? Have you gotten rid of them, or do you move into a different space? And is it kind of going, well, this is what real friendship is, I'm going to concentrate on just that?
That's a great question, and really goes to the heart of everything the book's about, because you're right that the pandemic for me was like going cold turkey because, as you say, for everyone, our diaries emptied overnight. And I realized that I missed my truest friends with this startling acuteness. Like, I missed being able to hug them. I missed the smell of their perfume. But I realized when I looked at my diary that I hadn't been spending most of my time with them. And it was partly because the people closest to me are so generous and loving that they don't put demands on my time. And I was just filling it with lots of other stuff. I was filling it with work, with what I call acquaintanceship. And I realized coming out of the pandemic that needed to change, that it wasn't necessarily about cutting everyone out of my life. It was about rebalancing my time so that I was spending the bulk of it with the people who were closest to me. And also that inevitably does involve taking a long, hard look and an honest look at the friendships in your life. I'm a big advocate for what I call friendship health, in the same way that we check in on our mental health or our physical health. I also think it's great to check in on the health of our friendships. And there were a couple of friendships that fell by the wayside. Now, that doesn't mean that I brutally cut them out of my life and I no longer speak to them and they no longer mean anything to me. It just means that I was rebalancing the time and the effort that I spent. And I think that there is a way of doing that with loving clarity. And there are friends that now belong to my past, but I still feel that they have shaped my life in a way that I'm forever grateful for.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting topic.
It really is, because listening to you, I'm kind of like, you know, they're so intense, friendships. And when you start, it's amazing. It really is.
Because you talk about you're a lover of reality television. And I think it's one of the Housewives programmes that they actually set out a contract. Is that right?
That's right.
Drink a coffee.
I'm so glad you raised that, Tommy, because I am a massive reality TV fan, and I'm probably making the book sound quite serious, but I hope it's a laugh as well. And there's a whole chapter dedicated to the notion of a friendship contract. And in The Real Housewives of Atlanta, there is an iconic scene where Cynthia Bailey asks her then friend, Nene Leakes, to sign a literal contract of friendship. And at the time when I watched it, it was a few years ago, I thought, gosh, well, that seems a bit unhinged. That's a bit extreme. But the older I've got, the more I've understood the intent behind it, that actually, I'm not saying that we should all go out and print out friendship contracts for our nearest and dearest. But I do think there's something really important to be said for understanding what you need from friendship, how much time you have to devote to it, and what the other person understands when we use this term friendship, because it's so broad that it can be rendered almost meaningless.
And the friendships on The Real Housewives, they're just so good. They're just
Something
such a
to
great
look up
example
to,
of what they
absolutely.
are. Now, Elizabeth, I think loads of people know you from your podcast and from your book, indeed, How to Fail, which took a concept of failure and turned it on its head. Huge, massive global success. How do you feel about kind of going, failure is a good thing? That you have made people realise, OK, failure isn't the worst thing, and that you openly spoke about it?
Well, I feel really proud, to be honest, because How to Fail, the podcast and the subsequent book came out of my own failures. I was at a stage in my life where, professionally speaking, on paper, I seemed to have things sorted. I was a staff feature writer for a Sunday newspaper here in the UK. But personally speaking, my life was imploding. I got divorced. I had unsuccessful fertility treatment. I found myself single and alone 3 weeks before my 39th birthday, thinking, how has it come to this? And so I launched How to Fail as a way of having conversations with other people who could teach me about failure, about how to survive it. And what I've learned through doing that podcast is that failure is a test of character. Just because you fail does not make you a failure. It's actually how you respond to it that is the true shaping of who you are as a person. And that's been so enlightening for me. And I'm really proud that it's spoken to other people too, because I think that so many of us spent a long time being guided by the fear of failure. And a fear of failure means that we don't take those risks, that we don't go on those adventures. And I really love that I've been a tiny part of opening up that dialogue. It's been very important to me. And I'm aware of the irony that How to Fail has actually become one of the most successful things I've ever done.
Yeah.
But I never anticipated that.
Well, it's a brilliant
Such
message.
a
It is a brilliant message. And some of the people you've interviewed has just been amazing. I mean, like...
So good, but I got caught on a podcast there recently when you were talking to your ex-boyfriend, Rick Edwards. Elizabeth, you shared a story about you going to a Justin Timberlake concert after you'd broken up.
That was a fail, all right.
And he...
that was an epic fail. Okay, so a lot of the time people come on the podcast and they choose failures that are humble brags, which are a bit like, I didn't win the Oscar, but then I won it the following year. Rick Edwards, he's a TV presenter and a radio presenter and also happens to be my ex-boyfriend. There's a lovely picture of him. We dated just after university. Anyway, he came on and we had a fascinating conversation about his failures. And one of his failures was relationships. And we ended up talking about our relationship and how it had ended. And I said, do you remember that time when we'd split up, but I insisted that we still went to a Justin Timberlake concert together? This dates it. It was the early 2000s. And he said, yes, can I tell you something about that evening that might make you feel better? And he confessed to me that he'd woken up that morning hungover, got on the tube to meet me and soiled himself whilst on the tube. I had never heard this story. I had not known that this had happened. And I said, well, what did you do? Expecting that he would say, I went back home and sorted myself out. No. He got off the tube, came to give me a hug in his soiled underpants. I didn't notice. I don't know what that says about my sense of smell. And then he went to a toilet and ditched his pants. And then we went and sat through the concert. So that was a lovely story of everyday folk.
It was. I laughed so hard as I was listening to that. It
Worth
was so
listening to
good.
the podcast alone for that story.
Worth
Absolutely.
going. Do you know what? Glad we broke up. Listen, the new book, it's called Friendaholic. Elizabeth Day, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved it. Take care.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
For car insurance, van insurance, or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
Yes, thank you, Cliodhna. Live here in the heart of Dublin City Centre at the moment. Hope you enjoyed our ring-making masterclass a little bit earlier on this morning. And don't forget, tomorrow morning we're going to be live from Limerick. In fact, we're heading off to spend some time with the Fidget Feet aerial cruise. So that's all to come live from Raheen in Limerick tomorrow morning from 7. Now, a final look at weather and lots of sunshine. You'll be glad to hear out there this morning. Plenty of it on offer now as we work our way over the next couple of hours. Holding mainly dry, settled and sunny. So good news as we kickstart a brand new week in those light to locally moderate southeasterly breezes. Now right across the day, in fact, that good weather hanging on with us. We could see a couple of hit and miss scattered showers, but certainly that sunshine winning out right across the day. But all eyes really on those temps. It's going to be quite a warm day in store. We're talking highs of 14, unseasonably high, in fact 17 to 18 degrees through parts of the Midwest. And finally then tonight, mainly dry and settled, cloud cover through parts of Leinster, mist and dense fog as well elsewhere underneath those clearing skies, with values around back to 7 to 11 degrees. So for me and Gary here on cameras, that's your final weather update coming to you live here from Jewellery Street in the heart of Dublin City Centre.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The quote devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Welcome back. We're going to look at denim shapes for the new season and how to style them.
Yes, showing us her do's and don'ts is Lorna Weightman. Good morning to you, Lorna.
Good morning.
And earlier on we were talking about there's lots of different ways to wear denim. So you're going to show us, as we said, the do's and don'ts. Let's get straight into it.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got like cropped, slim fit, wide leg, high waisted. Denim is quite a challenging thing, I think, to find the right fit.
Hunter, it's so annoying.
It's so annoying, isn't it? So hopefully I'm going to demystify some of that this morning.
Lovely.
So we're going to start with, this is a slim fit crop. So when I say slim fit, you're not talking skinny jean.
Okay.
You've got a little bit more denim. You can even see that it's a little bit looser down Jessica's leg, which absolutely great for comfort, but also
and at the ankle.
But it's slightly cropped up.
Slightly cropped. So you're talking ankle grazer.
Yeah.
And what's really good. Exactly, and it is literally, it just kind of stops at your ankle, which is lovely. So with a slim cut, you get a little bit extra denim.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to go for something that is super glued to your leg like a skinny jean, this is absolutely great style to go. And these are from Salsa Jeans, which has been around for a really long time, Portuguese denim brand. And these are from the True Denim range, which are great for summer because they are fully cotton. So you get all of the structure from the denim, but it's not too heavy. So you get lovely, lovely flexibility. And also with jeans as well, I think we struggle to know what shoes to wear with different kind of styles. So with a slim cropped, it's about really proportion. So we kind of go for a lovely platform, which is great.
We're sort of looking at the blazer here first of all, so maybe just talk about that.
So then for proportion, with something like this, they're not too high rise, so you can absolutely get away with a longer style. So I think for, let's say, keeping your body in almost thirds.
Gotcha.
You've got the T-shirt, then you've got the length of the blazer, then you've got the jean, right? So if you think about breaking your body shape down into thirds, it works really well. And I love the combination of just the T-shirt and the blazer. Actually adds a lovely level of sophistication to denim. Exactly, and down to the shoes. The platform is back with a bang. But I also, what I particularly love with a cropped, or even just at this ankle level, is you get a full view of your shoe. And for summer, a sandal is absolutely lovely. These are so comfortable because you're kind of evenly spaced out on your foot. These are from Nozomi and Ennis. So you get this lovely classic look, but you're still quite casual, which I love.
Very cool. We're going to go to Talia now.
So wide leg, probably the one I think that we are the most afraid of wearing because we feel like it's a style that's going to overwhelm us. Exactly. So the difference with these ones is they are super high-waisted. So they come right up underneath your belly button, which means you can wear something very comfortably down over them. But what you want to do is not go for a top that's any lower than your hips, so that you're not overwhelmed in fabric.
Gotcha.
So if you've got lots of volume on the bottom half of you, you want to go with something a little bit more fitted and structured on the top. So it's like in opposites, which I particularly love with this look because they're a slightly darker indigo denim, which are really lovely all year round. And then when you've got that shorter top, it elongates you. So you've got this lovely long finish on your legs with a great heel, and we'll be showing these shoes again with the flat as well and how you style them too.
Oh, lovely. So
But
let's
it
look
gives
at
a bit of variation too.
Let's look at this top because it's lovely.
So this top, I love this top. And you'll see like Natalia's quite narrow, so we can go a little bit more with
Puff
volume on the puff
sleeves.
sleeves, which creates a really lovely silhouette. And I think this is absolutely gorgeous. It's from Balut Clothing. And again, this is actually fully lined, so you don't need to layer another top underneath it. So if you think about it, you've just got a top, you've got denim, you've got shoes, and you've got this full complete outfit.
Now, let's go, because this is quite Daisy Jones and the Six that's going on here, isn't it?
Yeah.
With these jeans
it actually
and the
does.
shoes.
Yeah, it has that kind of like 70s kind of
it's real
aesthetic
70s,
to it. And with the shoes, again, we're sticking with the platform. If you want to add a bit of height, especially with a wide leg jean, I would stick to something that actually shows more of your foot. So don't encase your foot in like a boot or a shoe that comes much further up your leg, because what you end up doing is losing that lovely flow and proportion down your body. So with seeing that little bit of toe, it actually shows you've got a little bit of skin in your arms, you've got a little bit on your foot, so you've got this lovely, complete, holistic look with the denim.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose it all. I love the shoes.
You need to take notes.
These.
Need to take notes.
Shearling. Okay, we'll start with the denim.
We'll start with the denim, then we'll get to the shoes. So these are very similar to the previous style, except they're not as high rise. And these again are from Salsa jeans. And what's lovely with this is Audrey's 5'11". So if you are very tall, you can absolutely get away with the kind of not bunching of the fabric.
Are they straight leg? What are they?
They are wide leg.
Wide leg.
Still
Okay,
wide
They
leg.
don't look as wide as the other ones.
They don't, absolutely, because they just have this neater fit.
Okay.
And again, you have 100% cotton as well. So you'll see how lovely they flow down sitting with the flat. So if you are tall, this is a great style to go for. And the same rules of proportion, you know, still come into account here as well.
Okay.
So you've got that, you can still see I've kept the body in thirds.
Yeah.
So you've got the nice top tucked in, you've got the kind of shacket style, which is like, which I really love. And it has a lovely summery, kind of bohemian feel to it as well. And this is from Balut Clothing too. But there's multiple ways you can style this top, you know, not just with denim.
Just a little top underneath that as well,
Exactly. And also, it's denim. So you've got denim on denim, but you're not in the same colour if you don't want to go for that very blue full look.
Now let's
which
get
I love.
to the shearling Birkenstocks.
So the shearling Birkenstocks, one of the things I particularly like, and if you are a TikTok and Instagram follower, you will have seen how
They're like a pair of slippers.
they are.
They wear?
But
you
they're
just
proper
wear them?
shoes.
Do you wear them out?
Yes, you can wear them out.
Say if it's raining.
You wouldn't really wear them when it's raining.
But
you
say
can
when you have a shower or you get, they'll be wringing wet.
Well, you wouldn't be going near them when you're out of the shower, really. You'd be drying your
No, but
feet
I mean,
first.
say there's a shower when you get caught in a shower.
you get pina colada.
You just dive in and take shelter. But with those ones, they are the most coveted Birkenstock style at the moment.
can't get them.
And you cannot get them.
That's just
but,
people. That's the Emperor's new clothes. It's ridiculous.
Naomi and Ennis have them. So if you are into that kind of style of Birkenstock, that's the place
There
to
you
go as well.
go.
So our next ones, these are, we're getting a little edgy here with the rips. So we've another crop slim fit here, but we've just got a little bit more detail on these ones.
Yeah.
These are so super soft, which I particularly love. Any kind of my experience with denim when it's got a little rip or a bit of structure in it, the denim is very hard and structured. These are so unbelievably soft. And I love the lighter colour of them as well.
Beautiful.
Isn't it really lovely? And another good thing about this particular colour from Salsa is that it won't run in the wash.
Yeah.
So you've got that, it'll hold that colour so beautifully.
Gorgeous.
So we've kept this very, very pared back. But if you want to dress up an edgier style of jean like these ones, really pretty top will balance out that look so
lovely cuff
nicely.
detail.
Really lovely. It's got a high neck on it too. It's got a lovely cuff detail on it. And then with the shoe, we've just gone for this lovely slip-on, not kitten heel, but slightly bigger than a kitten heel. Really practical for a night out. So if you've got denim, there are so many ways to make it look a little bit more polished and elegant. It doesn't always have to be ripped denim with runners and everything. So we've got
lots of great
ideas.
advice there. Are you going to run out and buy a pair of them now? Because they have them. Have you have one already?
I bought a pair. No, I didn't buy because the shearling, my feet stink. I couldn't be doing it. Lorna Weightman, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Cheers. Thank you.
Now, after the break, Colin Baker has some help and tips to avoid those online scams. We'll see in a few minutes.
They're not. It's not. It's not an active person.
Back now with online scams becoming more and more advanced. Cybersecurity has never been more important.
Certainly is, and Colin Baker is here to show top security gadgets. And we got him in this morning because we knew it was going to be the top story.
Absolutely,
of the Irish Daily Mail.
So
we just knew
you
just
know
these
your identity on sale for €25, basically due to hacking. People's Irish customers' bank login details, passwords, PPS numbers, addresses are all being sold now on the dark web.
Look, that's a great headline, but that's been going for 10 years. We've actually proven that and tested that.
Oh, really?
As much as 10 years ago. Yeah, so look, as we were talking about earlier, updating passwords is very important. You have an old password that you use for years.
I keep using the same password because I remember it and it's just easy.
The problem is the likelihood that some website somewhere that you were a member of and had your password on was hacked is very, very high. Chrome nowadays will advise you of this. You'll see the message come up sometimes.
So that my password will be out there.
Absolutely. Now you say, well, I'll forget the password. Stick a number on the end. Stick a current date on the end. Stick something addendum to the end so that you remember the bulk of the password, but you're making it more complicated.
So is that your top tip?
Well, that's my first tip. The second tip is actually doing your updates. We had a look at your phone earlier, and it's only, 2 years old? And you already couldn't access a particular platform.
Yeah, because I needed an update.
Because you're out of date. Now, that's a little bit of a nuisance, but it's also a sort of a vulnerability for hackers. So actually doing those updates, years ago it was a functionality thing, but when those update messages come in and you couldn't be bothered or you don't have the time to deal with it, and you think, sure, I'll do that again, and you don't do it.
It's very common. Yeah,
okay, right.
Sit down and consciously.
Sometimes I just want to ask one thing. Sometimes when they ask you to update things, I think it's a scam, but it's not really, is it?
Well, look, there's two main things you're updating here. If you have an Apple iPhone, then you'll see very clearly that the Apple iPhone is asking you to update your iOS. It's very clear. It's impossible to fake. The other thing is your computer. So when your computer comes up with Windows updates or Mac updates, they're very clear and evident as well.
That they
do
are
and commit to those.
And you're not
take
putting
the
in
time to do
passwords
it.
or anything in for that either, are you?
No, well,
but you're
sometimes you might be, but they're your actual password clicking on natively in your operating system.
Have you any other
it really does help.
Passwords, updates, anything else?
But also two-step verification. I know
Very
people all the time.
Oh, it drives me mad. The bank verification now when you're purchasing online drives me mental.
Yeah, but look, ultimately, the nuisance factor is worth it because it's more of a nuisance for the hackers.
What is it?
All it is that when I sign into my Gmail on that new computer, it will say, oh, this is a new computer. I need to send you a text verification. That, of course, means that not only are they getting your password, or at least are you using your password, because maybe somebody has your password, they're also sending a text through the cellular network to your phone. And that's very difficult, if not impossible, to hack.
It's
a very, very good way of making sure.
Right,
so
we're going to have to quickly go through some of these products as well. Let's talk, because tapping, you want to go to USB.
You don't
like this idea.
This is a flash drive with 256-bit encryption. So this is CIA, FBI.
Who uses the flash drive anymore?
Yes, they do, because this is air-gapped, as they say. So when you back up your stuff onto this and you stick that in a drawer, there's absolutely no way is anyone getting onto it from anywhere online, no matter how.
Is it on the cloud?
See, your data may be on the cloud, but if they get onto your data on the cloud and they wipe your data or ransomware your data, you still have your data backed up here. And it's up to 12 decimal encrypted, so it's really secure. That works on any system.
Very worthwhile for €89. Let's move on to the wallet.
So this is an RFID-proof wallet. Now, we did a little test a few years ago, you might remember, where we went through a Lewis carriage, openly and honestly, and took a cent off 15 people's credit cards or debit cards.
With a
tap machine, with a regular merchant machine. Simple, walk up beside you and what we call skim your card details. Now, people talk about these. We did it openly, we did it as a test, and we let everybody know. No, we let everybody know this is what we were doing. It was for the bank at the time. It was to show how easy this is and to let people know how important it is that you use an RFID-proof wallet like this. Now, that protects your cards from that type of fraud happening. But this one, and I like gadgets that do something else, this has a phone charger, a portable charger built in.
How much is that?
That's 39.
If you
euros,
want to
so not
keep your
expensive.
text messages and
Look
stuff
at that.
safe.
And I don't know if camera 1 can see it there, but if you look straight on my phone,
Oh, yeah,
you know
we
the
just
way
saw it
nosy
there.
Parkers
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
looking in at your phone
Then
from the side.
slightly
But
turn
as
it.
you turn it to the side,
Well, that's
I don't
good.
know if
So
you can
I
see
thought
it.
that was on a
Yeah.
plane recently, and you don't want to text because you know
Exactly,
people
because
looking
there's
at you.
people looking in. Of course they are.
Okay.
And that's
I'm
just
gonna
a
get one of
privacy
them.
thing. Now,
I'm
you also
definitely get
get
one of them.
those screens for your monitor on your laptop, or you see them on reception desks as well. If you've got a
Look at
reception
his gold
desk in a
business
hotel
card.
or-
It's called gold business card.
Anyway,
it's fake.
Colin Baker,
It's one of those things you get with the wallet for
where
free.
can people get more information on this?
Backfromthefuture.ie.
Backfromthefuture.ie. Of course, we've got some TP links, stuff all about keeping yourself
Do you know what
safe
his
out there at the
mindset as
minute.
well? Just if you're in any doubt or any suspicion, just avoid it and delete it. So they hack your mind. That's the easiest and
Contact your
most
bank.
vulnerable point. So being aware, being alert.
Colin Baker, thank you as
you
always.
so much
That's all
for
we
that.
have for today's Ireland Jam.
We'll see you tomorrow. We're back from 7. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Like that.